Okay, well, today the compressor finally decided to die. Now this thing, oh, it's a good 20 plus years old. Craftsman, 6 horsepower, 30-gallon compressor. Basically, it's a run-of-the-mill compressor from back in the day. Very common. Tons of them made similar to this. They're all kind of the same thing, a tank with a motor with a compressor built on the top. So, what's going on with it? Well, we plug it in, and it just runs and runs and runs and builds no pressure. So, what's the cause of that? Well, because of that, we need to change the piston that's inside the air compressor. So, let me show you. I have this loose. Let me take this apart and show you what this looks like inside of here. There we go. So, I want to lose that screw. This is your motor, electric motor. This is your compressor. And if you look, if you can see here correctly, this connecting rod in there goes up and down, moving a piston. So, when we plug this in, what happens? You can see it's just turning. There's zero resistance against that. So what we're going to do is we are going to, this is the part number for this particular kit, K650. Let's see, what did they send us here? Alright, with this kit, what did we get? We have a new cylinder. That's probably the biggest problem right there. I bet you there's a bunch of scratches in the cylinder. We'll have to take a look. Be extra careful with that. And some gaskets, O-rings, and a bolt. So let's pull this apart and see what we're looking at here. So it's 4 bolts on the top. Pulls this top off. Make sure you unplug it before you do, because you don't want this kicking on. And, well, drain the tank if necessary. Ours doesn't have any pressure in it, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, you don't want to unscrew this and whoosh, that'll give you quite a shock. So let me get this head off and take it from there. Okay, now what do we have? So if we take this, probably pivot it right around on that. We don't even have to move that much. Ooh, there's some good nasty grossness in there. Get rid of that right away. So if we look up under here, that's all that's inside the head. The air intake, some wasp gunk. Oh, that's probably what killed this thing in the first place. Wasps got in there and this thing was running and it sucked this mud right into the piston and probably destroyed it. I'm going to bet my money on that one. So make sure you have a good intake filter. This one had seen better days. I guarantee you that's what killed this. Alright, so obviously one of those O-rings go here. Interesting flap there. And as we pull this, okay. Yeah, you could say there's some scratches in there. Let's see if I can get into some good light. Maybe you could see what I'm talking about. Big scores and scratches all around that. But this thing's been used for quite some time. So, that comes right off like that. You can see where that O-ring is. Piece of cake. Okay, so what's going to happen is we take our new cylinder, match up the O-ring with that one, right in this groove. Piece of cake. So that's how that's going to sit, no problem. We know this O-ring goes on the top of that. We'll get to that later. Now we just have the new piston put in. Rings, if you will. Ring. So basically I have to undo this screw here, be able to get to that. hopefully, and pop this in there. There's got to be a trick to this. I'll never be able to push this. Okay, let me show you this. I'm never going to be able to push this into there. So what I have to do is push this from up above like this. Feed this down in here and then attach that to the piston. It's the only way I would ever be able to get that to compress in here. Let me take this apart. Okay, so I took the screw out of the center of this piston. Now, there's nothing. Take this out. So that's the edge of the piston, very odd and cool. But now we got to get this sleeve out of here. It should come right off of there. Perfect. And wow, you could see how scored that edge is. It looks like a quarter. Cool. So now we have to figure out how to put all this together. So I'm guessing I probably have to put this in first. Really? How did that one come with that? And this one doesn't. If there's a lip on that. No, there is no lip on that. Ever so slightly different. Of course it has to be, right? Definitely want to be careful on the edge. You don't bang and break the edge of the piston or you're in big trouble. But I don't think that's going to go on there without having to take the piston off. Otherwise it should have. So let me get that apart. More to do. Okay. Now I have to take this bolt off. That'll get the fan and hopefully I can get right to the piston. Okay, so I took the fan off and then got into this little bolt here. Now this connecting rod should come right off. Perfect, it's coming right off. Piece of cake. Remember the orientation of this. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm gonna go with the screw to the back of this for now. So, let me figure this out now. Now I need to take and put this connecting rod through here, and I guess I can put this on, but it may not stay on. That's probably not going to... Alright, let's do that. And then put piston top back together. It came with a new bolt. So put that in there. Might even help to put a dab of thread locker on there. Okay. Now, if we slide this right into there, it should stay the way we need it. Okay, it's going in. Okay, so that's now in, tight, nice, and right. Cool. Make sure it's nice and clean. Now what we can do, remembering which direction that goes, drop that back down in through here, put the piston right on the connecting rod, and tighten that up. Let me get that tight so I don't forget it. Okay, and then just put this in there. Cool, so that's in, that's in. Now, we have to make sure we have our little O-ring here. And this thing was facing this way before. Again, I want to make sure that O-ring is still right. I don't think it is. It doesn't seem to want to stay in that groove. If you tear your O-ring, well, that's the end of that. Perhaps that's the better way. Yeah, right, that does not want to work. Alright, now I gotta get this O-ring to stay in this groove. Does not want to, it's so close to. I'm gonna have to work it. risk of tearing that is so high. I think I have it right there. Okay, that seems like it's in. Now I have to change this upper gasket. Make sure you don't get any of that inside this. Should have done that first. Okay. Somehow I gotta get this out. Clean it all really good. You don't want any residue in there. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Now I have to get this guy in there. Again, very difficult to get it to stay exactly where you want it. It's pretty close. Might be able to get this to move. Oh, I gotta put that put this filter back in there. And then make sure it seals right when you put it down. Might have to wiggle it a little. Yeah, because that middle part isn't right. There we go, we got it on good now. A little twist and curl action. I think we're on pretty good. Now I gotta get this bolts. I'll go figure they were actually 3/8 bolts. The thing is, everything's metric these days. So hopefully, you know, this saves it. And I think it was 50 bucks to get this kit for this compressor. So that saved me $500 from having to buy a new compressor when this is all that's wrong with it. So if that's really your issue, well, and there's nothing else wrong with your compressor, take a few minutes to fix it. So in a half an hour of my time, well, there's a new compressor. And really, there's very little else that could go wrong. It's a motor and a switch. Pressure relay switch. So this is the cause and the problem of if your compressor's running and running and running and won't turn off. It's just not building any pressure. Well, if it won't turn off, that could be related to the pressure switch, but if it's not building any pressure, this is your culprit. I want to make sure these are all seating correctly. They look pretty good in there. And again, you want to, well, I don't know if I said it again yet. We didn't tighten any of this down. We just got these bolts started. So we're going to go in a sequence to torque ahead. And I'm not even putting much pressure yet, but it is an even amount all the way around. And we'll start again with another a little bit more. I don't know exactly what the pattern is for this, but it's got to be pretty close to this. There's only 4 bolts, and you usually go diagonal whenever you're torquing something like this. And everything looks pretty tight and right. I don't see any weird bulge. Okay, cool. Now we have one more thing to do. We just have to bolt our fan back on. I want to give me one little top of it. Good enough. Any chrome cylinder in there? Is that going on right? Tough to hold that fan, not breaking anything. Okay, now here comes the magic test. We need to put something over this to make sure we don't suck any more goop in there. We'll do this for now. Careful, doesn't suck your shirt in. Let's plug it in and see what happens here. We're out of the way of the fan because the fan's gonna run like hell. Well, it sounded better. I hear air coming out of here, so that's a start. Well, I'm pretty sure it worked. Let me let this run and build up pressure, and we'll know in a minute. Okay, it's been running a few minutes. Hey, there we go. We're registering 75 pounds right now. So it is working. Getting hot already. Sounds good. All right, cool. We are ready to go. So basically I just have to put my covers back on. Not too bad there. You can take these apart. They're kind of a pain. The screws are really far in there, so careful of that one. But boom, we put our covers back. We'll be back in business again and ready to go. And ta-da, just like that, we are done. Our air compressor is back and working again. I mean, it took maybe 15 minutes, half an hour, depends how you're getting into it and going. So really wasn't that bad to do, and we're ready to run again for hopefully another 20 years. So I hope you liked this video. Check out our other videos. Please like and subscribe, and you have a great day.